And we're back on Yankees Hot Stove with a look at how the Tigers' rotation is shaping up for next season. Justin Verlander, David Price, and Anibal Sanchez are all expected back from last year. Right now, it looks like they'll be joined by ex-Yankee Shane Green and former Red Alfredo Simon, who was acquired Thursday in a move made right around the time that Rick Porcello was sent to Boston in a deal for Yoenis Cespedes. The future free agent starter Max Scherzer is up in the air. Here's Dave Dombrowski, the president, CEO, and general manager of the Tigers.
We love Max. He did a great job for us. We tried to sign him last spring. We really made an effort in that regard. I guess anything can happen, but we're not in active pursuit of that situation at this time. I mean, we're happy with our starting pitchers. And again, we love them. I don't mean it, but we really, as I said at the time, and our guys get tired of me saying it, but it's really when we're in a spot where we were the sole club that could sign him last spring. It didn't work. I don't think our odds improve when there are 29 other clubs that are now trying to, or could potentially try to sign him. And we also, other things transpired, so we ended up acquiring David Price to kind of fill that void going into this year, to get a number one type starter. We also then acquired Shane Green, and now with this trade, our rotation is basically set at this time. We've got, however you want to put them, but Price and Verlander and Sanchez and Simon and Green, and we like that rotation. We like it.
Boy, Dombrowski brought up a great point there, Bob. He's looking at a $200 million price tag right now for Max Scherzer. So he says, you know what, I got some other moves I need to make. He goes out and he gets Green, and he also gets Simon from the Reds. Pretty nice move there.
Yeah, Simon's an all-star, and it's really going to help. I mean, let's see how he does come into the American League. It's always a question when you get a National Leaguer making the transition. But you know what? The Tigers really like Shane Green a lot, and so did the Yankees. I mean, there's been a lot of talk this week among people who say that, well, Shane Green really is a career mediocre pitcher, really didn't do much in the minor leagues, flash in the pan. Don't believe it. The Yankees were really reluctant to let him go. They didn't like the idea of having to let him go, especially now, the holes in the rotation. And the Tigers fell in love with this guy's swing and miss stuff. Hard sinker, hard ground ball quotient, high ground ball quotient. I think he's going to help him. That is really a solid overall rotation. I agree. It would be better with Scherzer, but at $200 million, I think the price tag was just through the roof.
And I don't know about you guys, but I love Dave Dombrowski's candor right there. And he wasn't trying to be mean or disrespectful, but we offered this guy, he's saying, $144 million last year when we were the only ones that could sign him. He said no. Now he's out in the open market. And again, the number is going to be crazy. I said 182 yesterday. I'm just going to stick with that because I want to try and be right. But Clap's right. It's probably going to get closer to 200. And you look at that rotation that they have, and that's a very solid rotation. Would you like to have Scherzer as part of that rotation? Of course you would. But the Tigers can win a division. They can get to the postseason with those five guys.
And isn't Green, you've talked about his stuff, Bob, isn't he kind of a less expensive replacement for Rick Porcello, who they spin away? Porcello's going to be a free agent next year.
Yeah, I mean, it was a gamble. I mean, but because there is a small sample size, but Green really does have power stuff. I mean, I really projected him for a long career with the Yankees. I thought he would have been perfect in Yankee Stadium. I mean, he just induces so many ground balls and seemed to be so composed. Really had a great sense of maturity about him. I liked him a lot. And you're right, it's a pretty good swap for the Tigers, given that Porcello was only a year away from probably leaving.
And it's interesting comparing Porcello and Green, and it's a great comparison because of the way their ball moves and how they try and induce ground balls. Here you have Porcello, who's got 6 major league seasons under his belt, and then you have Green, who's got about 6 months under his belt, and they're the same age. But that doesn't mean that Green can't be a great contributor for the Tigers going forward. I think he will be. And the fact that he pitched well in both of his starts against the Tigers, it's only 15 innings, but teams are impacted by that stuff. The Tigers saw him shut down their lineup, a lineup that got a lot better with Cespedes, by the way, now. And I know that had an impact on them wanting to hunt down and get Green.
All right, so let's talk about that because Porcello goes to the Red Sox. They bring in Yoenis Cespedes, and now you stack him up with Cabrera, with Victor Martinez. That lineup remains interesting. Now, we know Cespedes is a free agent at the end of the year, but it goes to that, do it right now mentality for the Tigers.
Well, I know the Red Sox would have loved to keep Cespedes. I mean, obviously, they traded him to trade away John Lester to get him. But Cespedes said he was not going to sign an extension. He was going to test free agency. That's what he wants. He wants that big payday. So the Red Sox did what they had to do. I think he would have had a terrific long run in Fenway, in that ballpark, in that hitter's ballpark, had he stayed. But you're right, he gives the Tigers incredible muscle.
And it's interesting, you talk to people around the Red Sox, Cespedes wasn't the most popular guy in that Red Sox clubhouse. He came to the Red Sox and he still produced, and he allowed them to make this trade and potentially make themselves better. But people said he wasn't listening to the coaches, he wasn't following instruction. So it's no shock that with the way he acted and with all the extra players the Red Sox have, that Cespedes is off the board for them.
Another case we've seen this winter of guys selling high. Cespedes had some value there. So they're also not concerned about it because they have Sandoval and Ramirez to add a little pop to the offense. Meantime, they shore up their pitching. But to what extent? Because we talked about how bad they needed people behind Clay Buchholz. They bring in not only Rick Porcello in the trade, they make a trade with Arizona for Wade Miley, and then they signed Justin Masterson, Jack, to just a one-year deal.
Yeah, the thing about Masterson, the best thing about that, it's a one-year deal. So you hope that you get a guy who was down last year and he comes through and performs well for you. And maybe for his sake, he goes and signs another deal. But Masterson had almost a 6 ERA last year. He had a knee injury. This is a guy, if he can't keep his ball down, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. He's all over the place. He averaged over 4 walks per 9 innings. I think what the Red Sox have done is added some 3s, 4s, and 5s. And right now, Masterson looks like a 5. Miley, soft-throwing lefty at Fenway Park. I'm going to take a wait-and-see approach on that. I like Porcello, though. I think his ability to generate ground balls, that'll help him at Fenway.
I love Porcello. Love Porcello. I think the Red Sox are really going to benefit from him. But, you know, Jack is right. They still don't have an ace. There's still no replacement for John Lesters. Who's going to take the ball on opening day? I don't know. I mean, do they have enough to keep up with the Blue Jays and the Yankees? Well, we'll see. But no ace. But you know what? About Masterson, I remember when he was a real dominant powerhouse pitcher with Cleveland, how much his ball moves, how much hitters hate facing him when he's got that movement within the strike zone. Right now, he's off. His career's at a down point. But I think it's a great gamble for Boston. For only $9 million, only 1 year, I just have a feeling it's going to work out.